Welcome to the Arkansas Cattle Business Podcast, brought to you by the Arkansas Cattlemen's Association. Here, we dive into the heart of Arkansas's cattle industry, where legislation, education, advocacy, and development come together to support the hardworking cattle producers of the natural state. Whether you're in the pasture or on the road, this is your connection to the people, policies, and programs shaping the future of our industry. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Arkansas Cattle Business Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Michelle Buffkin-Horton.
And I'm your co-host, Norley Townsend.
So we are excited to be here with you. Excited for this episode of the podcast. We've had, I feel like, a busy week since last podcast. So
I haven't been in the week since last Thursday to this Thursday, so it's...
Yep. Yes. So I hope everyone had a wonderful time with their families over Easter and was able to spend time with them and just taking a little bit of time. I know sometimes it's a hard time of year, especially following all of the flooding and the storms, and so we were able to, especially with the storms literally on Easter Day. Mm-hmm. But we hope that y'all took some time to wait and to pause and to just enjoy time with family. So we are very grateful for. I was grateful to be able to go. We went up to Northwest Arkansas and got to see all of my husband's family and spend time with them and see my nephew and everything else. It was a good time.
Yeah. I stayed at home, and me and Dad, we went and listened for turkeys and all the things. So just stayed at home. It was nice. Not traveling all the time.
Yes. Yep. And then, on top of it, turkey season opened this week.
It did. But unfortunately, we didn't have any luck. I went Monday morning before we went to the FFA Convention. Heard some, but didn't have any luck, so.
Yeah, so I've seen quite a few of our members posting on social media that they've been successful turkey hunting, so it's exciting for them. Love that for them. No, didn't happen for us.
No,
but very happy for them. Congratulations to those. And so, so you alluded to it. We've been at FFA Convention this past week, and so it was a wonderful time just being able to see. There were over 3,000 students at FFA Convention, and so that was just inspiring to be like, oh yeah, there are this many students interested in the future of agriculture and this engaged in agriculture, and so it was exciting to see. We had a booth there. We saw a lot of our members. We saw a lot of our members' children or grandchildren, and then we saw a lot of our people that participate in the Penn Heifer Show. Mm-hmm. And so it was a great time just to be able to see and interact with those students, for sure.
Yep. And it was cool to because we weren't there selling memberships or anything. We were there. We were moving our Penn Heifer Show, so we were giving the students an opportunity to learn about us and the Penn Heifer Show and different things. So it was really cool. Some of them come up and looked at our sign. They're like, cattlemen's. Oh, my dad's a member, or my grandpa's a member, and I've been to some meetings. And we're like, great, cool. Yep.
And if you're watching online, you're going to notice me sitting here on my phone because Norley alluded to the fact that we are moving our Penn Show. And so if you don't know, in the past, we have hosted our Penn Show, the Arkansas Cattlemen's Choice Replacement Penn Show, in conjunction with the Arkansas State Fair, typically in October, right before the fair starts. The board voted last December to move that away from the state fair, away from that time of year, namely, being a big reason of it, and Little Rock being the other big deciding factor there. And so the committee got together and did a lot of research, did a lot of looking, and they have decided they're moving the Penn Show to be in conjunction with a new leadership development event. So the name is still being workshopped. It's going to be table, we don't really know, but it's going to be an option of Arkansas beef or some form of Arkansas beef leadership event. And so it's going to have, our Penn Show is going to be a portion of that event. It's going to be, they're going to have a judging contest. They're going to have skill-a-thons. They're going to have a speech contest. They're going to have all kinds of things available within that event. We're hoping to have an auctioneering contest. So lots of different things and items available within that event, and our Penn Show will be one of them. It will be in Texarkana, February 18th through the 20th, or the 21st technically, of 2026. So we're very excited about that event. We're excited to be hosting it in conjunction with a lot of other of other organizations, ag organizations in the state. So it's not a cattlemen's event. It is not just the cattlemen's doing it. It's a combination of cattlemen's is involved. The 4 states fairgrounds are involved. Arkansas 4-H, Arkansas FFA, Arkansas Farm Bureau. We're looking at adding additional people or additional organizations as we go, but we're really excited about that opportunity. So if you've been looking and hoping and trying to see when you needed to submit your stuff for Penn Heifer Show, that's going to be moving. So that new event will be in February. The date's in the magazine, but we're really excited about that going forward.
Yep. And we just announced it technically in the magazine last month. So if you miss it or if you want more information, it'll be in the magazine.
Yep.
So,
yeah. So as a past FFA member, what was your favorite part about going back to convention as a full-grown adult here?
I got asked that question. My little cousin was there, and he's like, "So how does it feel to like come back?" And I'm like, "It's good." Like I had a lot of memories pop up on my phone. Like at the same time, like 6 or 7 years ago, I was in the Blue Jacket attending and seeing my first convention and being like, wow, this is so cool. And it's really interesting. Then I came back. I was from the University of Arkansas as a social media intern. I got to do that, and now coming back as an employee. And it's different, but it's good. Kind of full circle moment, honestly. But just seeing the kids, not much has changed. I mean, it's all changed. It's all good. But it's kind of all the same too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the important things have remained the same.
Yeah,
there for FFA for sure.
And it's so pumped up. Like I was sitting there, like in the vendor area. They have it live streamed from the Ozark Bank Arena, and hearing them elect the new state officers. Man, that was cool. Like I felt the vibration like from the booth and the pump up there, and it's really cool.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like it is. I mean, those students are I have 3 day full 3 days worth of events, and they are still just as energized and excited on that last final closing session on Wednesday as they are that first one on Monday. So it's really exciting time. We were honored to be able to be a part of it and to be able to see, like I mentioned, we saw a lot of our a lot of our members that were there as FFA advisors, as ag teachers, as parents of FFA members, or a lot of them even came back for the past state officer reception and the past state officer recognition, so we were able to see quite a few of them there as well. So it was a good time, a full circle moment for a lot of us, and being able to see our members' children or grandchildren or family and being able to support them in that way. We're excited to be able to be involved next year and see what we can do. So in the comments of social media of this, wherever you see this, in the comments, let us know what your favorite memory from FFA convention was, whether that was this year or whether that was years ago, back when it was a couch tail. It doesn't matter to us. Let us know your favorite memory from FFA convention, because I want to see those. I want to be able to see and help y'all relive some of the things that we got to relive this week. It was a very good time. We did see a lot of our members. We were able to hang out with them and discuss the benefits of memberships and things like that, but really just being able to network with the students, being able to network with the other vendors that were there, all around. Great event. Mm-hmm. Always fun to be a part of. Always an exciting, energizing event, even though it's exhausting.
Very energizing. Like, they've got music playing the whole time. I'm just like, this is a whole vibe.
It is, yeah. They know their audience.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, let us know in the comments. So it was a lot of fun. So we spent the first half of the week doing that, and then the second half of this week, we are prepping for our board meeting. Mm-hmm. So we have I have to do math in my head, our second quarter board meeting. This, depending on when you listen to this, it'll be Saturday, April the 26th is when the board meeting is. And so it's another exciting time, just being able to interact with our board members and be able to make decisions that are going to impact cattle producers and the Cattlemen's Association down the road. So what are some of the things that we do? First off, let's discuss, we've discussed it briefly, but we'll discuss it again. Who is the state board? Who makes those up? How are they selected and decided?
Yeah, so that's selected at the county level. Like, so when counties have their officer elections, you'll have the president, vice president, and then membership, and then you'll have your state board rep. And the state board rep comes to the office quarterly and has, well, not all of them's here at the office, but they come here quarterly, and we give them updates from the ACA, kind of like we do here, but it's way more in depth downstairs. But and then they vote on different policies and stuff to bring it to our membership during convention, that meeting. But yeah, it all comes from the county level, basically.
Yeah, so we talk about a lot of times like we're a grassroots organization, and it is very true. We are a grassroots organization. We do not do things at the Cattlemen's without input and guidance from the board. And so whether that be the executive committee or whether that be the state board. And so a prime example of that, even things that seem as small as recruiter rewards. So we started this new program this year, and we had that idea came from, I think it technically came from a membership committee meeting that was then presented to the state board, and they provided feedback and info of like, hey, like here's types of things, here's what we might want to do. And then they actually voted and approved that before we could implement it. And so I think that shows you just, I mean, it feels like a small thing. It's not a small thing. It's a very exciting, very big way for us to recognize our recruiters, but it feels like a smaller thing, all the way up to the big decisions like, where are we going to host convention in 2026? And so that decision will be coming up before the board soon, either at this meeting, hopefully. And so we'll be able to announce where we'll have the 2026 convention. And so those are the decisions that the board's making. Everything from should we do rewards for people that recruit, and what should those be, and what price rate and all these things, to where are we going to host our annual event every single year, to what policies and things are we going to fight for at the Capitol. And so it's a wide range of items here. And so, as Norley mentioned, like we'll do everything. We'll do a membership update for them to let them know where their counties stand in the membership drive, and then we'll do a legislative recap deep dive, which we're about to do here as well, but not quite as deep. And then we will do a discussion around our policy and our governing documents. And so the Cattlemen's operates off of 3 governing documents. We have a constitution, we have bylaws, and we have a policy book. And so the Constitution is the Articles of Incorporation is what started the Cattlemen's. It specifies where we will be housed, what our dues will be, what the purpose of the Cattlemen's Association is. The bylaws are more of the rules and regulations of the Cattlemen's, who's going to be on the board of directors, or the state board, like how are they elected, who serves in the executive committee, how many years do they have a term, and which areas or which counties make up which areas. And so those items fall there under the bylaws. And then the policy book is exactly what it sounds. It's the ACA decision-making manual. It is us at the Capitol in DC or in Little Rock trying to make decisions based on this policy book, saying that we support large animal veterinarians, we support this item, we support the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture. And so therefore that is my marching orders to go and fight for funding for UADA, or to go and fight for tax exemptions for cattle producers. And so all 3 of those documents go through a legislative and policy committee meeting, go to the state board, the executive committee and the state board for final decisions, or not for final decisions, for approval, and then goes to the general membership meeting at convention. So every single person that is a member of the Cattlemen's Association is able to attend and come and vote on policies, all the governing documents there. So policy book, bylaws, and constitution. If we're having items within each of those, they're able to come and vote. So that way every member is involved. We print those in the June issue of the magazine as well. So we print the changes, or the proposed changes, from the committee and from the board, and then put those in the June issue. So you have a heads up, you have an idea of what is being discussed. It can be edited based on feedback at the general membership meeting. What's in the magazine is not final. It just gives you the starting point. And so For example, some of the things we're looking at this year, in one of our policies, is we're looking at the feral hog the feral hog issue, and so we have policy for that. We are recommending that we renew that policy because we know it is still an issue within the Cattlemen's Association, within the industry, and so we'll have that all that discussion as well on Saturday. And I should say that the timeline I just created is. Technically, I skipped a step, is how does it come to the Legislative and Policy Committee meeting? And that is from a county. That is from, it is not just necessarily the Legend Policy Committee meeting and saying, hey, this is what I think we should discuss. The county should bring forth items and say, hey, we have an issue with feral hogs. We think cattlemen should do something about this. We should write policy for it. And so counties are able to come forth and do that. Prime example is Faulkner County last year came forth with a large animal veterinarian policy. We made it 65 years without policy for large animal veterinarians. And so they said, this is a very big issue for us. We want y'all to work on it. And so they brought it forth to the Legislative and Policy Committee meeting. We helped wordsmith this, and so made it into lawyerese type language, the whereas, the therefore, be it resolved, and made sure that it fit what Faulkner County was looking for. That then became a standing policy within the Cattlemen's Association. And so lots of big decisions happening at the April board meeting, a lot of big discussions and a lot of hopefully exciting things coming out of it. And so you'll be able to keep an eye on your magazine and see the state board recap along with social media. And I'm sure we'll talk about it here on the podcast. And so, but you'll be able to for sure see any changes to the governing documents, any proposed changes to the governing documents within that June magazine. And we'll also link it on our website as well, so you can see them and make sure that you are involved if you would like to be, and make sure you're at that meeting at convention in August this year, and make sure you're able to be there and make a vote and make sure your voice is heard.
Yep. And I also want to add that state board reps, they come to all of our meetings, but all of their names and numbers from each county is on our website. So if you're somewhere and just want and are interested in cattlemen's, call that number who's close to you, and they can get you hooked up. Like, there was a guy who called me Monday, and he was like, hey, I'm new to the cattle industry, I need help. How can I was like, look on our website, find a state board rep. I'm sure they could help you in your county, whether with anything, just help you get into it. And then if you have an interest in a policy you want to see, like, call them and they'll get it started, and then it'll come to us, and that's how it comes. So
yep. Yeah, and I encourage you to reach out to your state board reps if you have any questions. They get a monthly email from the Cattlemen's that gives an update of what we've been working on, regardless of or outside of just that board meeting as well. So they have a touch point. So if you're ever curious, hey, what's the Cattlemen's doing about this? Like, what is this? Call them, and if they don't know, feel free, you can call us as well. But that gives you somebody at the local level that should be fairly plugged in and hopefully have an answer for you. Yep. So, all right. You want to do our final? Yeah, it's like when we start saving graphic things on my computer. It's like graphics things. Let me specify. Graphics, not graphic. Graphics things. You save multiple versions. If you're a graphic designer, you understand this in your soul. It's like version V5, final. And then it's like V6, final. Like, use this one. Like, you save it multiple times. That's what it feels like every time now that we do the lens.
I was making stuff for the magazine every time.
Yes, it's like, oh, hey, this is our final one. Like, no, this really will be our final state Hats on the Hill session unless something else comes up. So we're going to do a deep dive, a recap, if you will, of this legislative session.
The final Hats on the Hill.
The final. Yeah, so as we discussed last week, I think we were recording the podcast literally the day they adjourned here in Little Rock, and so that is official. They have recessed technically, if you want to be technically correct here, which is the best kind of correct, and so they've recessed. They will meet no later than May the 5th to adjourn, sign, die, which means they will officially adjourn. Technically, any time between April the 16th, April the 16th, when they recessed or adjourned unofficially, they could meet at the call of the leadership. So far, they have not. And so after May the 5th, they will not be able to meet unless it is a special called session from the governor and the leadership. And so it'll be a little bit different after May the 5th. And so that is when they will officially adjourn, sign, die, and actually not be able to meet again without a special session being called. And so that was 94 days, if you were keeping count. 94 days of legislative session. They have to meet for 90, and so very much on track there. There were around 2,000 bills and resolutions filed within those 94 days. Technically a little bit more because you can do pre-filing, but still. There were around 2,000 bills. You had 1,005 bills in the House and 647 bills in the Senate, and then 164 resolutions in the House and 112 resolutions in the Senate. Difference in a bill and a resolution: a bill is actually going to change the law. A resolution is just recognizing usually a school, a person, or something along those lines, not creating new or editing or amending statute. And so we have talked a lot about a lot of different bills this session, so we'll talk about what most people view as the most important bill of the session, which is the RSA, or the Revenue Stabilization Act. They traditionally cannot adjourn until they address this bill. It is the budget for the state of Arkansas. So the RSA funds the state's general revenue budget, and this year for 2026, it increased, or next year for 2026, it increased by approximately $180 million, making it just under $6.5 billion for the state of Arkansas's general revenue. This budget represents a 2.89% increase in spending for the 2026 fiscal year. There is not one spot necessarily where 2% of that takes up. It's a lot of different places of fitting across the entirety of the budget, just increasing incrementally in numerous places there. And so that bill was passed, meaning they could adjourn, and so there's your budget for the year. So a 2.89% increase over last year's fiscal budget. And so recapping the bills that we supported this year that got signed into law, we got a veterinary telemedicine bill that allowed veterinary telemedicine in the state of Arkansas. So you can create and work with a veterinarian via phone call, pictures, video conference call, however you want to call it, whatever's going to be telemedicine for you. Looks a little bit different for everybody. Got that introduced here and got it passed. It was signed into law February the 6th, so fairly early on. Along with that, we also got a certified veterinary technician clarification. This bill allows certified veterinary technicians, technologists, technician specialists to work without a veterinarian standing right beside them, pretty much. That one got signed into law same day as the telemedicine bill on February the 6th. And both of those were priority legislation. We strongly supported it. Finally, the bill of the session for the Cattlemen's Association, the thing we have heard about more than anything would be Senate Bill 290 and the legislative oversight of moratoriums. That bill was signed into law on April 22nd. And so it, again, requires that moratorium decisions be made by the Legislative Council or the Joint Budget Committee, not unelected agencies. It, however, does not apply to existing moratoriums. So again, that's priority legislation for the Cattlemen's. We're excited to see that one come across the finish line. Senate Bill 124, funding for the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture. And so that bill was signed into law on April 18th, although I will specify that act is only to appropriate funds for the UADA. And so it does not mean that funds are available. It just gives them the right to spend the money if we find the money. And so one of the good news pieces of it was right there at the end of session, the UADA was able to secure some one-time funding. And so they were asking for $6.5 million recurring. I think they got about $4 to $5 million of one-time funding for 1 year. And so, again, very grateful for that funding, really grateful to see that come across the finish line. Not the end of the conversation. We will be trying to continue that conversation because being able to have extension agents all across the state whether that be a county extension agent, whether that be a state specialist. All of them do so much work for cattle producers in the ag industry in the state. We deserve to be able to have them and continue to have them and pay what is needed there for the UADA to keep those members or those employees. And so we'll continue working on that. The appropriations bill did get passed, and we did get a little bit of one-time funding. I say a little bit, $4 to $5 million. It's quite a bit of money for UADA. And then the FOIA exemption EID tag bill, we got that signed into law on April the 14th. And so again, it exempts certificate of veterinary inspection and other information tied to EID tags from the Freedom of Information Act, protects producers' privacy. Again, this Department of Agriculture was not in the habit of giving out your private information if someone asked. But however, they technically by law are required to give out information that is housed within the Department of Agriculture. They are a state agency. FOIA exists and exists for a reason. And so this makes it where they could stand up in a court of law and say, hey, no, this is covered under this law. We do not have to give out private information tied to these pieces. And then finally, the farmer tax exemption card, we talked about that quite a bit. Signed into law on April 14th as well. Creates a farmer sales tax identification card. Clearly defines farming and outlines the conditions under which the exemptions can be claimed. And it relieves the sellers of the liability. So a lot of people weren't really taking advantage. A lot of companies were not taking advantage of the tax exemptions, or were not authorizing the tax exemptions for agriculture because they were scared of the liability there. And so it protects them, along with making it easier for farmers to be able to utilize the tax exemptions that exist. All right. Unpassed bills. So bills that did not make it across the finish line. If you don't know, if a bill is not signed into law, you have to start over in 2027, which is the next legislative session. And so quite a lot of, if you so choose, and you have to start over from scratch. There is no oh, hey, I'm going to start. Nope. You start at square one again. Same way in D.C., same way here in Little Rock. A lot of times somebody's like, well, it got this far. I'm like, it means nothing. If it didn't pass both houses and get signed by the governor, means nothing. And so Senate Bill 84, the permitting moratorium, again, it was just a variation of 290 that did pass, and so that one was deferred, meaning that the sponsor said, hey, I don't want to run this one. I'm going to instead focus on the one that did pass. And so along with House Bill 1045, which was the crop residue burning regulations, and so it just placed requirements on individuals to follow voluntary smoke management guidelines and addressed liabilities. We were monitoring that bill. That bill failed on the House floor. And then Senate Bill 255, which amended the definition of a drug. And so essentially it would have said that food containing vaccine or vaccine materials is a drug. We did work with the sponsor on this bill and other ag organizations to make sure that meat was exempt from this. And so meaning that made it a little bit better for us because meat is exempt, and so it fits within the cattleman's policy to not have to fight this. So we're monitoring that, and then it ended up dying in the House Health Committee, and so it did not make it to the House floor. And so that is your final update. So again, 2,000 bills. We still don't really know exactly how many bills got signed into law. We know how many bills passed, but we don't know how many bills get signed into law. The governor does reserve the right to veto a bill, and I do know that she has vetoed at least one bill this session, and line item vetoed a few other items out of bills. And there's two options for a bill. Three options for a bill if it gets to the governor's desk. She can sign it into law. That's what all of these that we just talked about in the first section of it were. They got signed into law by the governor. It can sit on her desk, and if for 7 days, if she doesn't sign it, it then automatically becomes law. And so we are still at that, technically kind of at that 7-day mark. And so for bills, it depends on Good Friday. And so technically if they were off Good Friday, then tomorrow, or I say tomorrow, then Friday is the the 25th would be the 7th day, and so we don't exactly know how many bills became law. And then the third option would be for the governor to veto that bill and to say no. The Congress can come back and try to override the veto, but obviously if they are not in session, they cannot. And so that's where we stand. So we had quite a busy session, quite a lot of times. And so just a recap of the cattlemen's and what we're doing and what we're trying to do is we're trying to pass bills that are beneficial to cattle producers and to fight bills that are harmful to cattle producers. And so that is a big piece of what we do. But every decision that we make, whether I say, hey, this is priority legislation for us, we support it, or we are monitoring this bill, or we are opposed to this bill, all stems from our policy book, all stems from our membership, and from our grassroots organization, our grassroots policy. And so we are excited to be able to take a little bit of a breather from the Capitol in Little Rock, but we are not slowing down because I'm headed to D.C. next week, and so we'll be in D.C. with some of our officers and leaders and make sure that we are there, making sure the cattlemen's voices are heard. We're going for a fly-in, and so making sure that we're talking, a lot of times is what we're going to be talking about in D.C. is going to be the black-headed buzzards issue. We know that is an issue within cattle producers, or for cattle producers. We're going to talk about the Farm Bill, and within that, drought payments and LFP payments. We're going to talk about the death tax, the inheritance tax, whatever that may look like. And then we will be discussing what other pieces of legislation that could be beneficial or could be harmful to cattle producers with our elected federal delegation, along with meeting with agency leadership as well. So meeting with leadership from multiple agencies, USDA, FSA, like all the letters you can imagine. We'll have meetings with them within this fly-in. So really excited for that. We'll have a recap of it next week. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to some of our leaders that go and be able to share their story. Yep. So with that's my hats on the hill.
Final one of 2025.
Final state one of 2025, I will say. Odds of them coming back for a special session, probably. I don't really know. I am not necessarily, and I am not at all an elected official, so I'm not in the know in that regard. And so I do know there's a lot of talk about it before they left, and so we'll keep you updated if they come back for special session. Usually if that is the case, it's for a specific topic. It is not necessarily, hey, we're just going to start writing laws again. It's normally around one specific item. And so we'll keep y'all updated on that. And with it, I mean, it is important. I mean, I put it in an email the other day. I was like, it doesn't matter. It's the age-old saying. Like, it doesn't matter if you're interested in politics. Politics is interested in you. We talked about like 15 bills here, but there were 2,000 bills that were introduced. 2,000. I'm sure that a few of them in there had the potential to impact people, whether that's related to cattle or whether that's just you personally, your family. And so keep an eye on the legislative process. Yes, we are done for a little bit, but reach out now that your legislators have a break. Reach out to them, build that relationship, thank them for their time. Somebody asked me the other day, like, do I think that it works efficiently? Like, do I think that they're there for the right reasons? And yes, I think the majority of our elected officials at the state level in Arkansas that I've had the opportunity to interact with are there for the right reasons, which is to represent their constituents and to fight for their constituents. They take time away from their families. 94 days. It doesn't seem like a lot. It seems like 94 days away from their families, because most of them do not live in Little Rock. So they don't go home Monday through Friday. They're in Little Rock. They only get to see their family on the weekends. And they don't have staff. They are the ones doing the reading, staying up late at night, talking to the people, asking the questions. And so they are doing the best they can with what they have a lot of times. And so being able to serve as a resource for them if they have questions about ag is a great thing. That is something that is very well utilized at the state level because they don't have staff. And so they have a lot of a good habit of saying, hey, I'm going to call somebody in my district that's a farmer, that's a rancher, and ask them these questions. So reach out to them now that they are on a little break. Give them maybe that they've had a week, maybe give them another week, but reach out to them, let them take a nice enjoyed break, a vacation. even though they're back in the real world. Most of them are at their full-time jobs. But reach out to them, thank them for their time, and be willing to say, hey, I'm here to help if you have any questions to answer. So, yeah, that's my spiel, my soapbox. I will get off of the soapbox. I'm never going to stop talking about it because it's a big deal. It's a big issue. It's a life-altering issue for a lot of people. But if you wait until the issue is at hand, it's too late a lot of times. So, with that, any questions, any thoughts on legislation?
Not really. We've talked a lot about it.
We have, yes, yep.
It's weird. It's going to be weird not talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to have to find things to talk about.
Mm-hmm. So if y'all have any ideas what y'all want to listen to, what y'all want to learn from us, please let us know. Drop that in the comments as well. So,
yes. Yep, we are. And then finally we'll wrap up with what we are working on right now. And we are working on 2025 convention. It's almost May, which means we're not far from convention. So give them the details, the dates for convention, and remind them about why they should come.
Yeah. So our convention this year is in Hot Springs. It's August 7th to the 9th on that Friday and Saturday. Vendors come in that Thursday. It's a good time. We have a good time. We have an auction, visit with vendors, networking. I think that's the most valuable point of coming to convention is networking and getting to meet other producers in the state of Arkansas, because I see a lot of connections being made, like, oh, I can use this, how do you do this, and different things like that. And we have a lot of vendors, potentially a lot of new vendors this year. I've talked to a lot of people when we went to NCBA, and then just got back from FFA Convention. I talked to some people that might be interested in coming to ours, so really excited about that.
Yep. Yeah, details to register will be coming shortly. We are trying to work on finalizing the agenda before I put the registration together, so that way y'all can know when to get there, what to expect, what day you want to make sure you're there for the Cattlemen's College sessions and things like that. So we're finalizing that piece. We'll have registration up shortly, but you can go ahead and book your hotel room for convention August 7th through the 9th. It will be your host hotel is the Embassy Suites there in Hot Springs. You can call them and ask for the ACA rate, or we can put the link, the booking link in the caption here, or you can stay at Hotel Hot Springs, and so they both have discount rates available for our my headset just went out weirdly. They both have discount rates available for our members for our trip or for our event, and it does fill up quickly. So I will remind you, if you haven't in the past, if you haven't been able to stay where you would like to stay, go ahead and register for your Save Your Hotel rooms, and we'll have registration coming shortly. So we're excited about it.
Really quick, because we were sitting at our booth at convention talking about our convention, getting ready for Cattlemen's Colleges and everything. So really excited about it. New things coming. So
yep. All right. Where do they need to follow us? How do they find us?
As always, please like us, subscribe to us. YouTube. Last week the video kind of did not post. So sorry about that. Did not realize that. But on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, all the things everywhere. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to our newsletter.
Perfect. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, take care of yourself, take care of your cattle. We're grateful you spent the time with us today.
See y'all soon. This is the Arkansas Cattle Business Podcast, your trusted source for all things cattle in the natural state.